On December 8, 2025, Smash Ultimate turns 7 years old. This game refuses to die, the meta is still changing, new tech keeps coming out, new players keep reaching top 8 in majors, and with all that lore, with all that history, I think it makes sense to talk about all the fun stuff or the milestones that the community behind this game has been through. Before we begin, I made this iceberg myself and with suggestions from you guys along with other creators on a Google form I made. Some creators tuned in to help me record some lines for this video thanks to these guys right here. Now there are a bunch of other icebergs about this game out there, but what's different about mine is that it's going to be pretty exclusive to the competitive side of this game. Not that I don't appreciate the casual side of Ultimate, this is a great party game, I love playing with items on and being silly and stuff, but I also really like competitive Smash, and as far as I know there isn't any other video on YouTube that is going to cover the stuff I'm about to go into. So with all that said, let's start from the top. Hopefully by the end of the video I've earned a subscribe or a like or any all that stuff. I actually couldn't have done this without you guys' support. This is a big project of mine, so let's get into it. To start out, Steve is OP refers to Steve being the best character in the game. He has a bunch of really strong moves, insane setups, and with TNT and an anvil and stuff. And the thing that is supposed to be his weakness, the resource management, isn't really that much of a drawback because he can just sit back and get his resources whenever he wants to. And any good Steve player isn't really gonna have a lot of trouble getting their diamond tools and their iron anyway. And also once he gets them, you're good for the rest of the stock until they break. And if you mine diamond, you can save it over for your next stock, so you're at a fresh 0% when you get some of the best moves in the game. He has a ton of super long combos that do a ton of damage. Minecart is a tricky move to deal with, to say the least. It's hard to react to. It has armor, sometimes it's a grab, sometimes it's an attack. It's stupid. I won't spend too much time on this, but yeah, basically Steve is really good and you need to be super careful and play significantly better than your opponent in order to beat them if they're playing as him. The Trojan Horse and Skibbity Toilet refer to two bizarre Steve clips. The first one by McBro and the second one by Avenger Spencer. What's up, Spencer? At first, I wasn't sure if I should include them in this layer, but McBro's tweet has over 9 million views and Spencer's reel on Instagram has like 3 million views. So I feel like there's a bunch of people who don't play competitive Smash or Smash Bros at all that have seen these two videos. So yeah, Steve has a lot of jank in Ultimate. It's a miracle they added him in without making the whole game crash, but you know, they did it. That's awesome. Buzz is an incredibly talented pro player from New York. Most of you probably know him. He's the king of New York, right? But unfortunately, as much as we all love him, he does show up every now and then in those Smash Bros. Cringe compilations that have millions of views. And my favorite clip out of all these videos, it's a clip I reference at least a couple times a week, is the "Give it up for Buzz."
It's Thunder Gaming's Thunder Smash Top 8. Introducing first, hailing from New York, he's playing for Team Liquid and is one of the most dominating Alamars the scene has today. Give it up for Buzz!
In Buzz's defense, they did him dirty here. I really want to be on his side. We don't know if they even told him to get ready to walk into the camera or to be ready with a pose or whatever. And also, it wasn't his fault there was no music here on the background. Like, I'm sorry, but this is hilarious in my opinion. But I also feel super bad because I know it wasn't his fault at all, right? Like, justice for Buzz, alright? Give it up for Buzz in the comments. Pro Guides is a coaching platform that offers services for a bunch of games. They were most famous during early Smash Ultimate, like from 2019 to 2021. And that sounds kind of normal, except for the fact that they were also kind of infamous for publishing really bad content for their Smash Bros. YouTube channel. It was super funny. A little while ago, I made a video making fun of a Lucina overview they posted. I know I was super late to the party, but come on, I had to. This guy was ass. It was booty. The service, like the coaching service, actually still exists. They have their own website and everything, but their content farms on YouTube aren't really active anymore, fortunately, and that's Pro Guides. Hungrybox is perhaps the largest figure in the Smash Bros scene. He's one of the GOATs of Melee, but the impact he's had in competitive Ultimate is also very impressive because he's hosted a ton of tournaments, he streams a lot, and we'll talk about his tournaments later. They have their own entry, but for now, let's keep this entry about how he's famous for some crazy high energy pop-offs. He's even fainted live on stream before. Here's the clip. Yeah, Hungrybox is a very enthusiastic figure, and his pop-offs are pretty famous, so.
Ooh, I'm good.
Speaking of public figures and content creators, we have our favorite 54-year-old Dale Emmanuel Wilson, known as Low Tier God, and he's pretty bad at Smash. He's not 54 years old, but you will leave me, right? He tends to lie about his age, by the way. Despite fighting games being his whole thing, yeah, no, he's not very good at them, and I've never tuned into one of his streams before, but there's a bunch of accounts that document him rage quitting against viewers, channels like High Tier God, Daily Motion, and Low Tier Bisexual. They've posted highlights of him raging against his viewers, and it is really funny.
Oh my, the same over and over again, dude. What is this ugly ass nigga doing? Dead ass. This nigga sucks. Somebody hop in my lobby and body this fat nigga ASAP. Got a white character playing with a black me. We know what you fantasize about a big African cock slapping you in between both your ass cheeks, sliding in your asshole with lube, and it ain't gonna be me, bitch.
Sometimes when a viewer wins a 1v1 against him, he forces them to fight a 1 versus 2, and these rage compilations are super funny.
Matter of fact, the only way you can stay in the lobby is a 2v1. You will never play me one-on-one ever again, or anybody in this lobby. You godlike, beat 2 of us. You will never play in a Smash lobby again, bro. And don't ever at me in my chat again either. I'm gonna suspend you for 2 weeks.
There's a ton of Low Tier God lore out there that would make this video super long. He even came up with his own slur. This guy's, you know, he's always up to some business. Luminosity Gaming, or LG, is an esports organization. They provide funding and support for pro players in a variety of games like League of Legends, Call of Duty, and Pokemon Go somehow, and Smash Ultimate. For the longest time, people liked LG, and they were generally uncontroversial. They supported a bunch of really good players like MKLeo, Meister, Sonics, Tweak, Mars, and Void. They have their own Discord server. They were hiring up-and-coming content creators as part of their team, and they had an active YouTube channel, but over the course of 2025, all of that kind of slowed down a bit. In August, it was announced that the company was going to be sold for $645,000, and as of right now, it is unclear where the Smash Ultimate LG players stand. In the Smash Wiki, it says that MKLeo stated he hadn't been paid for a while, and then in early November, the team released its creative contributors, so it looks like it's at a rough spot right now, but we actually have seen players still represent the LG in recent tournaments, like they have the LG tag, I mean, so we don't exactly know what's going on. From an outsider perspective, it kind of looks like it's at a crossroads right now. Some big decisions are probably going to be taking place soon, so, you know, good luck to all of those guys. Hope all goes well with that. This entry refers to the tier lists that have been posted early on into the year for like 3 years straight now. With Luminosity where it is right now, I'm not sure if they're going to continue it in 2026, but they had a pretty interesting formula, and I want to talk about it anyway. They asked like almost 100 pro players or panelists what their thoughts were, and they ranked every character for 1 to 10, and they made a tier list out of those results. I think it's a cool concept and it's a cool formula too, but at the same time, I believe it has this slight flaw in its reasoning, because if a character has no top level representation, it could be because they're bad, sure. In fact, that's probably the case most of the time, but there's gonna be a few good characters that get labeled as mid tiers or worse simply because there's no one in the scene to push them to their limits and prove us wrong. For example, my main, Lucina, we have basically no representation now, so she's definitely gonna sink into the B tier next year if they drop a new list. But I mean, I don't know, it doesn't really matter all that much, but it's just an observation, you know?
MKLeo is known as the GOAT of Smash Ultimate. He's calmed down by now, but back in early to mid Ultimate, he was destroying everyone. And during this reign, he developed a reputation for suddenly locking in on Game 4. Whether he's the one up 2 to 1 or not, it was kind of a running joke back in the day that statistically, you know, mathematically, Leo should win this one, even if he's about to get 3-stocked. If it was Game 4, commentators were like, Yeah, but it's a game for Leo, so he's basically got the upper hand anyways. It just goes to show how far above everyone Leo was back then. And even now, a 65th place don't change anything, that's still my GOAT.
ZSS sucks is a running joke created by the content creator Mars, who's the best Zero Suit Sounds player. I accidentally called him bald in a video I edited for Varus, who's another content creator.
Wait, that is not even a picture of me. What the fuck is this? What do you mean thanks for the shout out? What the fuck did he just say?
I feel it's only apropos to feed Mars even more free content by making an episode 2.
Did you like the Eastham pick? That's you little fuck. Are you proud of yourself? You proud of what you did? You should feel shame.
I had no idea you were bald too, man. I just thought it was funny for Varus to say your name and then show the wrong person, but apparently I placed some dots and people connected them. Anyways, yeah, it's kind of a running joke within Mars's community to say that Zero Suit is a bad character, and the rest of the Smash community kind of picked up on it because he has a pretty big influence in it, and yeah. At this point, I'm not even sure if he truly believes it or if he's just like going with the joke, but there's actually a bunch of weird things that ZSS doesn't get away with. Like her back roll is kind of slow, her grab takes a year and a half to come out, forward air kind of only works if you do it as a rising aerial. If you do it landing, there's like no way you're gonna land the second hit of it. Like up B out of shield is an amazing kill move, except sometimes it just won't hit because it's kind of small, and same goes for jab. It's amazing because it's frame 1, but it's also kind of tiny, and all of these are good moves, of course. It's just sometimes they don't work the way you want them to. Similarly to the last one, but also kind of the opposite, Pikachu Busted is a joke created by Esam, the actual guy in this picture I showed earlier, and he has a history of saying Pikachu is busted. He's really good, he's a top tier, all that stuff, and I mean, he's right, yeah? Pikachu actually might be the character with the best track record in terms of tier list placement in all the Smash series, or maybe it's Fox, I don't know, one of the two. Oh yeah, this one's really simple. On top of just his base attributes like his moves and frame date and stuff, Pikachu also just gets away with stuff, so kind of the opposite as Zero Suit. Zero Suit is like, why can't she do that? And Pikachu is like, why can't he do that? This is mainly thanks to his pancaking. It makes him able to dodge a bunch of stuff without even trying sometimes. And he also has a bunch of silly combos and jank, and some people call him Rat Kazuya, so that should tell you what you need to know.
Hi, I'm Spencil. PMLG is the infamous tech discovered in February of 2023. The tweet was made by Excedo, who credits 2 other people for labbing the tech, which stands for Phantom MLG. It's kinda weird and involves other Steve tech that I don't really understand, but PMLG essentially just lets you punish people for hitting you. You can get hit with something, cancel the hit stun of the move, and punish them. Crazy, right? Thankfully, PMLG in practice has very, very rarely been utilized. Some TOs banned it, and this discovery actually reignited the discussions for banning Steve. This led to people downplaying it, saying it sucks, people gassing it up, saying, no, it is busted, ban Steve, and in the end, people just forgot about it. But I'm sure that the top level Steves are waiting for just the right moment to pull it off in a top 8 and take a stock or win a game off of it, but hey, you heard it here first. As of this video's posting, the King K. Rool crown glitch is one of the most recent entries in this video. Another half tech, half exploit that allows King K. Rool to spawn in a second crown. Crown by itself as a side special is a pretty good move, but when you have it as a throwable item, it's pretty crazy. At first, the exploit needed to make K. Rool SD, so it was kinda like K. Rool sacrifices a stock to become a high tier for the rest of the game. But eventually, someone figured out a way to do it without having to SD. As of December 2025, we are yet to see this pulled off in a major bracket, but I think this is awesome. He needs it. Both iterations of the tech were discovered by this Twitter user, and a bunch of other people discovered ways to optimize it. Here's an example of the glitch working on Smashville, and it's so easy, it's kinda hard to believe it took so long to discover, but yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
Mii Sword Fighter's Awakening, or the catalyst for a potential Mii Sword Fighter revolution, is what I call Ramble's couple videos about Mii Swordy, in which he completely exposes that this guy is basically just Sword Kazuya. Where do I even begin with this one? It's like his moves do a ton of damage, and he shows a lot of cool combo routes, most of them ending with back air into up B. The first video had a bunch of cool combo routes, and the second one, it's like an hour long, goes into a ton of other stuff. When I said Sword Kazuya, that's actually kind of an understatement. Like, Like, all Kazuya really has is his bullshit touch of death combos, but MiSo has all of that and a bunch of other stuff he can do to mess you up. Except his combos are more difficult than Kazuya's combos, but you know, he still has them. In this video, he talks about Gale Stab, that's the side B that is like Ike's quick draw and how it's really good for recovering. He talks about Hero Spin and how it's really fun for scooping people that are a bit too close to the ledge. True combos into footstools if you clip someone at the ledge. And also he talks about Shuriken of Light, that's this neutral B, and how it combos into a bunch of stuff, including smash attacks and back air into up B and a bunch of other cool stuff. This video is incredibly detailed. Ramble did an amazing job with these couple videos. This stuff is cinema, and I'm gonna leave it at that, alright? I advise you to go down the Mii Sword Fighter rabbit hole. It's awesome. The main lesson in the second video, if you have Mii Swordy at the ledge, don't challenge them if you don't know exactly what you're doing, because they have a million ways to reverse it on you. To finish off the layer, Esam Bald is a pretty easy one. Esam is bald. Maybe I should have just ended it there. Esam Bald comments show up everywhere Smash Bros related. Random tweets, tournament Twitch chats have their own Esam copy pastas that they love spamming out.
There's a gentleman who goes by the name of Samuel. We call him Esam though.
Esam is bald?
Yeah!
Even Esam himself plays into it. He got his own bald Wojak PNG tuber model thing, and I think it's funny. I don't know how he manages to let all that stuff slide. I guess he just has really good aerodynamics, which means he's good at, you know, going with the flow. The Sonic's curse story is a sad one, but it has a happy ending, alright? Sonic's is one of the best players in Ultimate. He's a super talented Sonic main, and all this started when he placed second at Luminosity Makes Big Moves 2024. Now, to be clear, second place here is an insanely impressive achievement. Like, anyone who makes it this far into a major tournament is obviously a very, very good player. And at the time, this was just a normal second place finish for Sonic's. Except we didn't know that this was going to be the first of 10 second place finishes at major tournaments over the span of 2024 and 2025. There were also a couple other majors where he couldn't reach top 8. That was Genesis X2, Level Up Expo 2025, and Kagari V13. All of which had impressive placements, mind you. But the whole joke here was that Sonic's was on a second place streak. To work so hard just to barely get beat out, especially when you know you're Sonic's and you know that you have what it takes to win, but still lose, like, yeah, obviously it's gonna sting. The curse was finally broken very recently as of this video's posting at Port Priority 9, November 9, 2025, and I may have thrown a little bit of shade at Sonic's gameplay before in some of my other videos, but I actually did think the joke was getting a little old and I was feeling pretty bad for him, so yeah, good for you, Sonic. That was a good win. You earned it. You showed some incredible resilience, and I'm glad that it paid off. Before we move away from Sonic's, let's talk about the 4 Horsemen of Smash Ultimate. The 4 Horsemen era consisted of a time period in Smash Ultimate history where so many major tournaments were being won by either Sonic's, Spargo, Bia, or Akola. These 4 dominated Smash Ultimate from 2022 to 2023. Together, they won over half of the tournaments that were hosted, which isn't as ridiculous as Melee's 5 Gods. They won like actually almost everything, but the point is that these top 4 players, like the gap between 4th and 5th was pretty noticeable. And other than Spargo, they all played characters that are the most spectator friendly, to say the least, so they weren't exactly fan favorites a lot of the time. And a lot of Smash Ultimate is dead discourse started popping up because it was like, nah, like, if playing lame is the way to win now, then, you know, this game is dead, this game sucks. But eventually in early 2024 they kind of fizzled out, and while they're all top players to this day, the era of their dominance is still remembered, and it was named the 4 Horsemen era of Smash Ultimate, because there's 4 of them, and the 4 Horsemen are supposed to represent like the end of times, the apocalypse or whatever. I guess people were like, yeah, these 4 are gonna kill Smash Ultimate because they're gonna win everything and they're gonna do it in a really lame way, except Spargo, right? This isn't me pushing an agenda, by the way. Like, nobody was calling Spargo lame, and a lot of people were calling these 3 lame, alright? This isn't my opinion, this is just what the discourse was. I remember getting a comment on one of my videos saying like, yeah, you're being too polite, alright? Call them lame, they deserve it. And it's like, okay, hold on. I mean, maybe, but I'm not gonna, you know, be mean.
DLC Wave 2 refers to the controversial bunch of 6 fighters that were released as DLC, starting with Min Min in April 2020 and ending with Sora in December 2021. Sora and Sephiroth, you guys are fine. It's actually these 4 that are kinda infamous. Min Min is too good at camping. Kazuya has a bunch of combos that destroy you and give you, like, very little chance to escape. Pyra and Mithra outclass every sword character, and Steve is Steve. All of these guys sit at the S tier in everyone's tier lists for good reason. Their characters often called carried, mashers, stupid, and a bunch of other mean things because they're too good. And yeah, DLC Wave 2 has some strong characters to say the very least. Spargo is another super talented top player, ranked first in 2024 and fifth in the first half of 2025 because, Japan kinda took over. Also a player that had his rise during the pandemic era, and he is the Cloud main. For the longest time, Spargo has solo mained Cloud, occasionally bringing out Aegis for certain matchups, but in the first half of 2025, he found himself underperforming, placing lower than projected in Genesis X2, Best of the West 3, and Kagaribi 13. And at some point during the summer, he started working on his Piranha plant, of all characters. We actually have seen Spargo's plant before, but pretty much everyone's perception of it was that he was using it to mess with people, like beating you with a low-tier funny character as a joke, because he's that much better. But eventually, he actually started playing Plant in more serious games, and he's been pushing the character to some crazy lengths. Shortly after picking them up for real, he wins a major using mostly Plant. Link Respawn 2025. So, it's pretty interesting. I think Plant is probably among the characters you least expect a top player to pick up as a serious counterpick, but no, he's making it work. Looks like all Spargo needed to do to get out of his slump was to have fun with another character.
So the Coin Box and the Cash Box are two online tournament series hosted by Hungrybox. The Coin Box started out during the pandemic, and thank God it did, because it was kind of the biggest thing keeping the Western Smash scene active during the pandemic. It was a weekly tournament hosted on HBox's stream, and it saw the birth of many current day top level players like Sonic, Spargo, Mia, and Shiny Mart. During 2021, the weekly tournament was called the Juice Box, but as of 2022, it was renamed to the Coin Box, and they had an offline Coin Box in 2023, won by Sonics, which was actually the last major he won until breaking the curse, remember that? And then next year they closed off the series with another offline Coin Box won by Syrup in December 2024. In September 2025, Hungrybox announced that the Coin Box series was gonna return under the name Cash Box. And it was kind of like the same thing over again, but with some cool adjustments like banning 4 characters every week to keep the roster varied. They added a whale system for people who wanted to donate money to increase the prize pool, among other cool stuff. I think this is a really cool idea, the whole banning characters thing. Because, like, it's not permanent, it's just a way to spice things up, you know? They do stuff like these in other games too. Lately, I've been addicted to Marvel Rivals, and yeah, they do that there. It's cool, it's a cool idea. Dark Wizzy versus Ned commentary refers to a super weird, funny clip where one of the commentators had a little trouble finding the right words to say.
Hello? Who hacked Dark Wizzy?
You can't mob the skills that Dark Wizzy though has. He's gonna hopefully exploit Ned somehow. Oh, you know, put scouting out that.
I had no idea this clip existed, but I'm so glad you guys suggested it to me. I love it. The hero ban discourse thing was a discussion that took place during the second half of 2019, and it wasn't due to hero being OP or anything like that. It was actually because of the randomness that came from his down B menu, and also the main thing I think was the language stuff. If you don't speak Japanese and you're playing against a Japanese hero player and they use menu, it's like you won't be able to understand, right? This makes the matchup super in favor of the hero, especially because menu is, you know, his best move, right? It can also work the other way around though. If you're a player that's competing in another country and the Switch's language is in that country's language and you don't speak the language, then you're gonna have to ask the TO if switching over the game language is allowed so you can read the spells. But then what about your opponent? What if they can't read the spells now? Like, it was a mess. It was a big mess. And in the end, I'm not sure what the community did, and the discourse quickly died down. I guess we all just got over it. I don't know. I have heard of some dedicated players memorizing the words in like Japanese. Like, I don't know any Japanese, but I'm sure I could maybe try to practice it if I were to ever compete in Japan and be like, oh, this one's kaboom. I don't know. I'd probably get hit with it before I'm able to decipher what the spell is, but you know, there's some people who don't speak Japanese but are fast enough to know which spell is which. Shoe Stats is a cool guy in the Smash community. If you've seen these like power ranking charts, he makes these, and for some time during 2025 he posted some community made tier lists. He made a Google Forms thing and people answered, and we ended up with 7 tier lists completely made by the community. These ranked how honest Smash Ultimate's characters were, how fun they are, how hard they are to learn, The flashiest, the most fun to play against, the most carried, and the last one was a skill ceiling tier list. Overall, these tier lists were well received, but they also had a lot of discourse, but it's like their community voted, right? The numbers don't lie. It's not like Shoestats had some sort of illegal influence and was picking and choosing, right? Some patterns we noticed in these lists. People hate Me Gunner. She ranked dead last in 3 of these lists. People think she's the least fun to use, least fun to play against, and that she's the least flashy character in the game. That is hilarious, and that is incredibly deserved. This character is actually for psychopaths, and yeah, she was also rated pretty low in the honesty tier list. Outside of an incredibly deserved reality check for Gunner players all over the world, my favorite character to check out in these lists was Mr. Game & Watch. According to the polls, he is one of the most bullshit characters in the game, the easiest character in the game, the second least flashy or saucy character, the 5th least fun to play against, the most carried character in the game, even above Steve, and has a super low skill ceiling. He's actually the baby character, but he's pretty fun to play. There's a Twitter account called Bad Smash Takes who is run by a Game & Watch player, and every time Shoestats posted one of these tier lists, they were right there ready to post it because they wanted to defend their main to the death. And so many other replies were like, yo, come on, it's okay to admit your main is carried, like it doesn't matter, like just play who you like. And they were like, no, Game & Watch is hype and not carried. Me personally, I don't care because I main Lucina and she does pretty well into Game & Watch, but watching this account spring out to defend him will always be funny to me. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, Shoestats is the GOAT of Smash Ultimate Stats. Go check him out for cool numbers.
Kazuya is a sort of anomaly in the world of competitive Ultimate, because among the top tier characters, he is super behind when it comes to results, having only ever gotten 2 major wins, both of which were over 2 years ago. Kazuya's primary representative, Riddles, repped him for a long time, pushing Kazuya's limits and propelling him to the top. However, after Riddles switched games, Kazuya's results dropped. Everybody knows he's broken, Kazuya is a busted character, and yet at every major event, he's rarely seen in top 8, a type of inconsistency that's uncommon among his top tier counterparts. It would be impossible to make a Smash community Iceberg without mentioning EE. He's a very prominent figure in the community. He commentates, runs a podcast, streams, and uploads on YouTube. Pretty much everyone knows about him.
Oh! A cola. A cola. No! A cola. There you go, man. That's for you.
He doesn't know what that means!
It's great! What do you mean?
Something that EE has become known for is being the biggest MKLeo fan.
Get him, go! Oh, you're dead! You're dead! Let's go!
There's a bunch of potential reasons. EE and Leo have both been in the scene for a long time, even before Smash Ultimate. Back in Smash 4, both of them participated in competitive, EE as a commentator and Leo as a player in his prime. EE frequently streams Smash tourneys, and every time Leo's on screen, you already know who he'll be rooting for. He's always there to cheer for the GOAT, and you can always tell things are about to get crazy whenever the sombrero comes out.
It's fine, it's fine. Next hit'll get it. The next hit'll get it. Don't rush it, GOAT. Yes! He's dead! Let's go! Yeah!
So yeah, that's the gist. EE is the leader of the Leo fan club, and they have a really cool friendship that's fun to watch.
The slingshot is a technique that was discovered and optimized by Gimmer, who made a video about it in 2022, and it allows for some really cool movement, and it's one of those things where it's like a subtle optimization at first, but once you really got it down, it actually opens up a ton of mix-up potential. It has to do with your air movement and momentum. You can run and then turn around and jump, but still keep all of your airspeed, and you can do it the other way around too. It's cool, right? It's like you're reversing a jump. There's a lot of information that I skipped out on because it's actually such an intricate tech with a lot of variations and inputs to it. So I'm gonna leave a link to Gimmer's video on the description. Yeah, this entry is more about the impact that it had because a lot of people were super excited to hear about this tech, and it appears to have influenced a lot of tech development in Smash. He actually uploaded 2 videos, but I think the second one has a better presentation of all the info, and the first one is like a big cinematic thing at first. Just goes to show how big of an impact that the slingshot would eventually have. You guys know Moon Knight, the Marvel guy? Well, Cosmos, the Smash player, He's kind of like this guy. He has 3 people crammed into one person. We have Cosmos, but we also have Clutch Mose, and we have Choke Mose. Alright, so Cosmos is a super talented Smash player, of course, but for some reason, he tends to have a lot of wacky stuff happen to him. He's been caught on stream playing incredibly and clutching games out masterfully, but then he's also been caught accidentally SDing, choking out games, and it's interesting, you know, is it mental? Is the moon god playing games with him? I don't know. Like, if you look up Cosmos clips on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, they'll either be Cosmos doing something super cool or choking and dying really early.
Yo, like, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, but melee ice climbers, you know, or brawl.
Well, yeah, because it's one hit and you're gone.
Oh, and then same goes for this character on its own.
People compare it to how pet hamsters tend to die in super weird ways, like eating their own baby hamsters, or climbing inside stereos and having their eardrums blow up because of the loud noise. Cosmos is kind of like that. Similar to the Moon Knight comparison I made, some people have actually called him the Green Goblin as a nickname. Either way, Cosmos is correct. He's just, unfortunately, known for having some wacky moments and, I guess, high highs and low lows. Footstool Out of Shield refers to cool Smash Ultimate tech developments that come partly thanks to the fact that jumps in Ultimate come out on frame 3, whereas in previous iterations of Smash they actually kind of varied from character to character, and 3 was considered super fast. For example, in Smash 4, the fastest jump squat was 4 frames, reserved for super fast characters like Sheik and Fox and Samus, I guess. But yeah, nowadays in Ultimate, everyone except Kazuya, because he's weird, can be in the air by the 3rd frame after they press jump. Overall, this pretty much boosts every character's Out of Shield game, except that when Footstool Out of Shield was discovered and optimized, now we have a bunch of new Out of Shield options that look cool, sure, but they actually are optimal. For example, Steve now gets Footstool into Anvil Out of Shield. Joker, Wolf, Ike, and Sephiroth, they don't have the best Out of Shield games, but thanks to Footstool, they can get cool stuff, like up B on Ike and Wolf, downer on Sephiroth, and gun with Joker. Footstool gun on Joker has so much potential because down gun is a combo move, but it is kind of tricky to actually true combo it into a fair one or a drag down up here, but it's possible though. If you grind it out, it is possible. We actually have seen it in bracket before. So yeah, I'm actually not sure who exactly discovered and optimized Footstool Out of Shield, but it kind of just feels like we got some DLC Out of Shield options. Like, we just woke up one day and it was like, hey, some of you guys have new Out of Shield options now, enjoy. Alright, this was a big one. Panda Global was an esports organization similar to Luminosity that started in 2015 with Smash 4. For a while, that was kind of all they were, and a few years later, in the Smash Ultimate era, they even partnered with Nintendo, which is like, you know, wow, right? Nintendo doesn't really like to associate themselves with the community, and they made their own tournament circuit called the Panda Cup, which was to be hosted from June to December of 2022. A bunch of already existing tournaments in the later half of the year were going to be participating as qualifiers, and with that information, qualifying players would participate in the big tournament held in December. At the same time, another group called the Smash World Tour was running their own independent circuit. They had actually also met with Nintendo before, and by their account, Nintendo seemed supportive and even hinted that they might be willing to partner with them in the future. Cool story so far. We have 2 huge Smash Ultimate tournaments at the end of the year, and we have a bunch of big name tournaments that are actively involved and participating as parts of the circuit for the big tournaments at the end. Except in November 2022, the Smash World Tour group announced that Nintendo had suddenly forced them to shut down the final event and to shut down their plans for an upcoming 2023 circuit. Their statement also claimed that Panda CEO Alan Bunny had been pressuring tournament organizers, the ones that were going to be part of the circuit, to not support SWT, telling them that the event wasn't even going to happen and that they would be frozen out of the Panda Cup if they were to join the Smash World Tour circuit. Both Nintendo and Alan denied the accusations, but the community reaction was not great. People sided with Smash World Tour, but there was nothing we could really do. The Smash World Tour 2022 was forced to shut down. And also, all of this happened only about a month before the big Smash World Tour finale was going to be held. So of course, it cost them a lot of money. They had probably already paid a lot of people, or they had probably already paid for a ton of services, and all of that had to be discarded. Sounds like a nightmare to be part of the Smash World Tour group at the time, but it happened. When the Nintendo-backed Panda Cup eventually took place, it was heavily boycotted. A bunch of players dropped out. There were tournaments like Main Stage that gave free entries to tournament players who were already signed up for Smash Smash World Tour. Panda-associated tournaments were blacklisted from certain ranking algorithms, and eventually in 2023 they released the last of its players and shut down its presence in the Smash community. It's a messy story and there's a lot more detail you could dig into, but for the sake of this video, this is kind of the rundown. It's one of the few truly negative entries I'm covering, but despite this being old news, I think it matters. It's a story of how Nintendo dipped their toes into potentially communicating more with the competitive Smash community, and then they backed out and went back to hating us. So hopefully they give us a shot again at the next Smash game. I know Nintendo can be a pretty scummy company, but it would be cool if we were at least on their good side, so stuff like this doesn't happen again.
Hey, it's Rister Mice. You might know me for my shorts, but also hopefully for my long-form content. Tweak's reverse 3-stock against Sonics was a mythical event that took place on Luminosity Makes Moves Miami 2024. Winners Finals, Game 5. It isn't until Tweak is on his last stock that he finally takes one off of Sonics, but it still looks like the set is pretty much over because Sonics does like 100% to Tweak. It really looks like it's a Sonics win for sure. But almost immediately after Tweak takes all this damage, he gets an early kill with his side B, and now suddenly the stocks are even. At this point, both players keep taking damage, but Sonics finds himself struggling to close out the stock, and now they're both at kill percent. He even gets hit with a fake kill screen despite being on the way to a 3-stock not too long ago. And then Tweak takes it with a monkey flip. It was crazy. Especially because this was a Game 5. Like, it was really anyone's game. The comms here were super funny too.
Usually wins these scramble situations. Can he win this one? I don't even have the words, Fabs. He carries the spring this time. Back dash attack doesn't kill though. Great landing cover on the side B. Still able to be on stage. Sonics, no way, no way. And he wins the stop. Tweak 200%. How? Walks off looking
You can
like
hear
a
screams in the background from the audience. It was great. In the end, Tweak went on to win the tournament too. Sonics beat Light in Losers Finals, and he got his rematch in Grands, and did take a set, but because he came in from Losers side, he had to win 2 sets, and Tweak beat him out in the second one. This was one of the cursed second place runs from Sonics too. So if you're Unk like me, you remember the first patch of the game. It was really interesting when we thought this was gonna be Smash Ultimate. Chrom was a contender for the best character in the game, and Pichu was a nuke. He did so much damage and killed super early, and there were a lot of silly quirks that were thankfully patched out. There's an awesome video by Waidu where he explores the whole thing. Linked in the description down below. My favorite one is the Chromicide killing you first instead of him. I kinda wish they kept that. But also things like Duck Hunt being able to combo their side B into itself a million times. It's still a good combo move now, but it used to be a lot nastier before, combined with the fact that projectiles used to do a lot more shield damage, which I'm very glad they nerfed. Pichu's F-tilt was a nasty kill move, especially considering you could mash it. You could cancel Mega Man's lemons into moves, so lemons were a combo starter back then. I remember when we were just discovering how ridiculously early Incineroar could kill with his down B, and now we're all used to it. You know, time is funny. This whole era is perfectly documented on Waidu's channel. He's got a few videos on it. It talks about cool glitches and characters and buffs and nerfs and all that. It's a fun series. Once again, linked in the description. That's Rister Mice, signing off.
Alright, it's time for the final layer for the video. This section has 11 entries, unless I decide to add a random one last minute. I would love to keep going. If I find more lore, I could make a part 2 to this video with extras and a final secret layer, so DM me on Discord or leave a comment with a cool idea for stuff that would be cool to mention in a follow-up video. I always read every comment. Let's get into this final stretch. MKLeo recently placed 65th at a major tournament. I don't think he's ever placed this low at a major. Someone check on EE. This was at Port Priority 9, the same tournament where Sonics broke his curse. He ended up losing to RM8, an Ike player, and it's a pretty unbelievable upset. It's labeled as an upset factor 7, which basically means like, you know, wow, like a very unexpected result. And while there have been more crazy upsets over the years, the reason this one's particularly relevant is because this is Leo's lowest placement at a tournament ever. There's actually some footage of this set. I was able to find it. It's pretty crazy. It happens. We all have, you know, days where we aren't at our peak, or, you know, maybe Leo was at his peak and RMA just, you know, got too zesty with it. Who knows? But, you know, it happens. He's still the GOAT. A couple days after, he started up a live stream where he was playing Mr. Game & Watch, and people started speculating that he was swapping mains. I don't think him streaming a new character means literally that, but I mean, only time will tell, I guess. Let's talk a little more about this RM8 guy. Our M8, the Ike player that beat Leo, has a pretty interesting backstory. I wouldn't be making an entry of him, he was just someone that beat Leo. But no, this guy has some lore. I had never heard of him before. When I heard Leo had lost to him, I thought like, I guess he's some like Japanese player or something. Because Japanese players tend to be really good at pushing low tier characters to their fullest. And I also don't know a lot of Japanese players, so I was like, maybe he's just some like Japanese character specialist. But no, this legend is from Canada. And he has played so many games. This guy is a grinder. He has played over 10,000 tournament sets. Mars has a really cool video going over some of his game footage if you want to check him out. Some of you might be thinking like, alright, that's a lot, but if he's a pro Smash player, that must be like normal, you know, like 10,000? Well, no. MK Leo, the GOAT of Smash Ultimate, who we always hear about, he's everywhere, 2,000. Same goes for players like Akala, Sonics, Tweak, and pretty much every other top player you can think of. Like, none of them have come close to RM8's 11,000 sets. But yeah, anyways, he's a solo Ike main, currently ranked 4th in Alberta and 187 in North America. He seems like a cool guy. I don't know how he manages to squeeze in so many sets, but hey, that's very impressive. The Void Theory refers to a really cool little story, perfectly put together in a video by Shoestats, the guy with the graphs. In the video, he goes over Void, a top Smash player who just seems to be really good in about every video game he touches, but for whatever reason, he doesn't have the best track record when it comes to crew battles. That is what the Void Theory is. There's no video game and no format he can't conquer, except for crew battles. The whole story takes place in California. Northern California and Southern California have a bit of a rivalry and they participate in crew battles every now and then. And Void, being the best player from SoCal, we assume that he's kind of set up to do really well here. But throughout the years, Void has steered away from the format. A crew battle happened a while ago, he ended up kinda selling, and he vowed to never crew battle again. But eventually, he does see himself returning to another big crew battle at Genesis 9, not too long ago, and the Void Theory is put to the test again. This is a really cool story, especially because the VOD with the whole crew battle was actually almost lost media, but Shoestats managed to find it. I highly recommend you watch this video on it. It's like 40 minutes long, but it's worth the watch. Alright, this was pretty funny. It's one of my favorite entries in this list. In June of 2025, a player called Lucida posted a tweet saying, "Lost to a 16-year-old at my local tonight who asked ChatGPT for matchup advice after game 2. I can't keep up with these Zoomers." And then the Zoomer in question responded with the prompts they asked ChatGPT, and it's this. "I have 3 stage bans in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I am Corrin versus Robin. What stages do I ban?" And ChatGPT said, "Ban Smashville, Kalos, and Town." And it even gave some reasoning as to why. Like, Town is really big, so it gives Robin a lot of room to camp, for example. It gave reasoning for every stage. Something that was also interesting about this response is that since Corrin also likes Kalos, at least according to Zoran, ChatGPT was like, "But hey, you know, if you like Kalos, you can ban FD instead, and it'll also mess with Robin." Like, it went the extra mile with this response. I thought that was really interesting. And they won. Turns out it was good advice. They thanked the Clanker, very polite, and ChatGPT is like, "Let's go. You cooked that Robin and dragon lunged your way to victory." I thought that was a cute response. Overall, I'm a big fan of this story. I think it's funny. ChatGPT can get things wrong though. You know, what if it does research and takes advice from like Darkside Phil or some game journalist, right? I heard this guy likes to drink pool water, you know? But yeah, some replies to the tweet were kind of upset. Like, imagine needing ChatGPT to win. And it's like, all they really asked for was stage picks. It's basically like they looked something up mid-set, which you could argue is still kind of slimy, but it's not like you use ChatGPT to win. Like, they still won the game on their own. It's not like ChatGPT suddenly made this guy better at the game, right? Now, if you argue that ChatGPT should count as mid-set coaching and you're at a tournament where mid-set coaching isn't allowed, then yeah, ban it, I guess. This whole thing kind of went viral. Dexerto picked it up, everybody's favorite news outlet, and that's kind of where it ends. Again, this happened in June 2025, and as of December of the same year, it doesn't seem like there have been any other instances of it happening, but if it does, let me know, because it's funny. This entry is another silly one. Ultimate Wanted 4 was a tournament held in Paris in August 2022, and it had a crew battles bracket. In the quarterfinals, it was Team Japan versus Team Austria, and the fight was a little bit one-sided, to say the least. Shuton was the first player up from Team Japan, and he took out everybody. Crew battles are normally teams of 5 or so. This time it was teams of 3, possibly because it's a whole bracket, and it would take a while to play out if it was a 5v5. But still, Shuton swept this team. And you know what's crazy? He didn't even even end up on his last stock. He lost a total of 1 stock in order to take out 3 top 10 Austria players. Like Shuton, you killed them, man. To be clear, I'm sure Team Austria is super talented. I would also get 3 stock by Shuton, like I get that, but wow, you know, we didn't even get to see who else was on his team. Like Japan just got to take a break while Shuton just took care of business. Bracket Demon Mars refers to the fact that Mars has a flawless win record against Mia. Why is this kind of an insane stat? Well, Mars, despite being super good at the game, of course, he doesn't really compete as much anymore. He kind of went down the content path, good for him. But Mia is a very active top player who has like a million wins, who's been a top 10 player in the world since 2023, best game to watch in the world. He's one of the 4 horsemen from earlier. He's super good and he has a ton of receipts to back up how good he is. Weirdly enough though, out of the 2 sets that they've played on tournament, Level Up Expo 2025 and Supernova 2024, Mia hasn't taken a single game. If it was 2 sets and they were best of 3 or had gone to at least game 4, that would be one thing. But both of these sets, best of 5, 3-0. Light work. How does he do it? I don't know, but it's kind of an anomaly inside the Smash Ultimate tournament lore. Like, I don't know what exactly is happening here, but yeah, you know, good for you, Mars, you know, Unk still got it. The British have a way of being very funky with their gamer tags. This is gonna be less of an explanation and more just a list of British gamer tags that I like. So Kendrick Olimar is probably the one most of us know already, but there's a lot more. We got O Tower of Scotland, Thingy, Lil Milk, Emperor Silly, Doughballs, Le Chevalier du Café, Mr. Gattern, Joey Jojo Jr. Shabby Doof. Yeah, you thought it was just gonna be like 5 people, right? Zero Skill No Fun, Twink Panthers, Ledge Slippin' Jimmy, Soup Enthusiast, Quesadilla, Rob Marley, and Sabrina Shartpenter. No, I'm kidding. The last one's not real. I made it up. Someone should use it though. And I'm sure there's some more I missed. I'm all for it. I don't know what it is in the lovely British weather that gives people the urge to name themselves a more creative tag, but I love it. Alright, Pac-Man is a good character, but there's a few recorded instances where optimal counterplay against this character is to do nothing or to just crouch and also do nothing. Both of these relate to Bell, Pac-Man's best projectile, inside his best move, Bonus Fruit. The do nothing strategy is perfectly demonstrated by Goblin against T in Summit 4. Goblin kinda just broke T. Basically, Bell into forward smash is Pac-Man's go-to kill combo, and while it is a good setup, it's also not hard to tell when someone wants to go for it, and all you gotta do is just stay outside of its range and you won't get hit by it. This combo kind of relies on you going to Pac-Man, but if you just don't do it, now you've made it significantly harder for your opponent to get a Bell confirm, and they have to either overshoot or give up. Without Bell into a smash attack, this character struggles a lot to close out stocks at late percent, so to find out that Bell is surprisingly easy to play around if you know what you're doing is pretty meaningful counterplay. The crouching strategy involves messing with Bell confirms by crouch canceling the Bell stun. Crouch canceling is a mechanic where you take significantly less knockback if you get hit with something while you're crouching, and when it comes to Bell, a move that stuns you, if you get hit by it while crouch canceling, the stun lasts a lot less, and you'll be knocked away before Pac-Man has the time to forward smash you. It's kinda awesome. I like it. ZSS is top 1 refers to some Japanese tier lists calling Zero Suit Samus the best character in the game. Now, I did get a few suggestions to cover this, but the latest tier list I could find where she was referred to as the best character in the game was in 2019, in a ranking created by some Japanese top players like Abadango, Takara, and Raito, and yeah, ZSS top 1. I think this entry should maybe refer more to the fact that Japanese tier lists and Western tier lists are pretty different. Maybe not top 1, but there's a bunch of people in Japan who view Zero Suit Samus as a top tier. Other wildly different opinions include Sonic not even being in the S tier in a more recent tier list by a couple Japanese players, Steve being the 7th best character in the game in this list by Reg Kusu, with his top 5 being Sonic, Kazuya, Snake, Rosalina, and Pikachu, and everyone seems to think that Yoshi is top 10 material. Not that hot of a take, Yoshi is really good, but I didn't expect to see this much Yoshi hype. Everyone's content guy, or every character has a content guy, refers to a tweet by Rister Mice, the cool content creator guy you heard earlier, who made a list on Twitter referring to every Smash Ultimate character that has a content creator who mains them and talks about them a lot. I don't know all of the ones up here. I can think of a few. For example, we got Mage for Joker, MGK Ganondorf, Fire the Pyro for Brawler, of course, Mars for ZSS, Amok for Puff, and I'm hoping I'm the one he thought about for Lucina, unless he meant TC Nick, except I actually do nerd out about this character, and as far as as I know, Nick is like a Lucina main, but he really doesn't post Lucina content last time I checked. But I mean, you know, we could share, of course. Hit me up, Nick. Let's collab. I'm always down to help smaller creators, you know? No, on a serious note, I actually do work as a video editor, so let me know if you need an editor. Alright, plug over. Of course, we have my homies Cypher and Appalachian and Avenger Spencer for Roy and Greninja and Steve. So many characters have content, guys. Some notes I would make for this: I would move Chrom up thanks to Lancelot. Aegis has Baselard. Even though he's mixing it up right now, he's trying to, you know, expand and branch out, but a lot of Aegis players know Baselard. We got Katy Perry for Zelda, an actual egg for Luigi. Mela Bunny is a Peach main with a YouTube channel, even though she does more variety stuff, but she does post a lot of Peach stuff. And also Tuesday Tastic for random. Then Rister makes a section for technically does but ... referring to, I guess, cancelled players. And then the last section, uphill battle regardless of if they do or don't have a content guide, which is for characters that the community often refers to as lame or uninteresting, and I guess it kind of checks out. I don't know if the people are really yearning for a me gunner Smash Bros channel. That character is the devil. Here's my take on everyone's content guide. There's a few I don't know of, like I don't know any Kirby or K-Rool content guys, so I just trusted that Rister knows one that I don't, and I added the ones I think he left out. Let me know if I missed anyone. I 100% did. Like, just leave a comment and I will look into it, and when I make a follow-up to this video, I will add it and I will update it for you guys. Speaking of YouTubers you might not know, it's time to end the video off with an entry that is kind of, you know, kind of the Christmas spirit, you know, kind of a kind of a heartwarming entry. Small Smash Channel YouTube, term coined by me, very creative, is a little ecosystem inside YouTube consisting of some cool up-and-coming Smash Bros content creators. I found that a lot of Smash channels that are under 10k subscribers, we kind of share an audience. So I went over character-specific content creators earlier, like Appalachian and Avenger Spencer and all that, but there's a bunch of more cool people in this little circle that aren't character-specific that I think a lot of you are missing out on. We got Spencil, who recently got to 10k subs. Congrats, Spencil. He posts some super cool, high-quality videos, and he has the coolest mod ever for Kirby. I love it. He pulls up a lot in his videos, like I always show off the shaved heads or the masked Lucina and my stuff. It's kind of like a little branding thing. We got Ramble. He's pretty big now after the Me Sword Fighter stuff earlier this year, but yeah, I was there when he got monetized. I would say go check him out, but if you know me, you probably know him already. Elijahman, you might already know him too because he's a super talented show player. He posts a lot of Smash stuff, mostly related to like improving, kind of like my more recent stuff, except he actually has receipts to back him up. Tuesday Tastic is suffering through a character crisis. They want to give every character a chance at becoming their main. We got Frigid. You also heard him here narrating some entries in this video. He found a formula that works with his latest Kazuya video. There's a lot of really cool people over on these parts, alright? This might sound like I'm just plugging people I like, but it is for a good reason, alright? Because I've heard a lot of people say on YouTube or Twitter, like, yeah, Smash Ultimate is dead, there's like no good content anymore. Like all the big Smash content creators are only posting like slap or stream highlights or whatever. I would like to disagree with that, alright? And I don't mean it in a, like that TikTok where it's like, so this girl makes a video of her bobbing her head, but when I make my art, I only get 2 likes. It's not like that, alright? Like, if we make good content, then we'll blow up. It's that simple. But if you thought Smash Ultimate content was dead, or that all that's left is slop content, like, we tried a new mod that turned Simon Belmont into a sexy woman, like, don't worry, alright? The game is in good hands. We have cool people all around, and I'm happy that a lot of them are getting noticed because they work super hard and their content is awesome. Before we move on to the outro, final shoutouts to PK Beats, Rister Mice, Easy Freezy, and Shoesets, who I have met and work super hard, but their channels are a little too big to put into the small channel category. But you know, I've talked to all of them and they're really cool. Alright, and that's that. Thanks for sitting through the whole thing. Video's not over, don't leave. This is likely to be my last video in 2025. I hope you enjoyed. A few final thoughts. You might have noticed I skipped through almost all the negative stuff like canceled players and like other figures in the community and what they did, and other unfortunate events like players passing away, or less serious but still kind of negative stuff like super hateful but morbidly hilarious Smash Bros Twitter accounts. And I in no way want to act like that stuff doesn't exist. It 100% does, and it's not good to ignore our dark corners. We can't live in denial and pretend we are a perfect community because we aren't. But I liked the idea of focusing on some of the good stuff today. Is that okay? I am a big fan of spooky, disturbing icebergs, but let's say this video goes viral somehow. I didn't want to make the Smash scene look like some sort of shithole in front of everyone, right? It has its issues like any other fan base or community does, but it still has a ton of cool people in it, and it wouldn't be fair to us to talk about it with the same tone other Iceberg videos talk about, like the mass shooter manifesto Iceberg, right? Like, we're cool people. It's okay to focus on the good stuff. All right, now we're actually done. Ultimate has been a very present game in my life. I have been playing Smash for as long as I can remember, but I remember buying Ultimate on release, like right after school. I remember driving over to buy with some friends, and we played it all day, and then that night we went to a party and my friend got drunk and spat beans on someone's shoe. It was great. I wish I had a picture, but my camera roll has like some blind spots, and this is a picture from January 2019. I wonder what this picture meant to me back then. And then this one from December 3 of a friend making a funny guy in a 3D animation class I took. I asked some of my friends that were with me that day if they had any pictures, and I found this picture one of my friends took when we unlocked Simon. To this day, it's one of his best characters. All right, that's kind of it. Just a little Smash Ultimate lore recap to finish off the year and some reminiscing on my part. I would love to hear your Smash Ultimate Day 1 stories. And like I said earlier, I would love to do a follow-up and do another layer with some more obscure stuff and stuff that maybe isn't so obscure, but stuff I might have missed. But for now, that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. If you feel like I earned a sub, that would be awesome. This video took a long time to make. Thanks again to the fellas that came over and helped me record. Yeah, that's it. Bye.